Hello, and welcome to Painting the Cape. My name is Lance, and today it's a very wintry day on the Cape, so we're going to work on how to communicate with color today. And we're going to start off by drawing just a couple boxes, and I'm using a watered down sap green. So let's put a box in the foreground here. Now, when you're thinking about the position of the box, ask yourself, do I see the top of the box or the bottom of the box or which side? So just kind of sketch out a box. Or you could just put dots where it's going to be, like that. Now I'm going to show you how I mix my colors and what colors I use. Basically, I use a warm and cool of each of the primaries, which is a warm red and a cool red, a warm yellow and a cool yellow, a warm green and a cool green, and a warm blue and a cool blue. So it's like this: a warm red, a cool red, a warm yellow, a cool yellow, a warm blue, and a cool blue. And then I put a couple little other colors in there like orange and stuff, but you can make those from the primary. And then titanium white. This is oil paint. So we have our box. Now what I do to mix the color, let's say I'm going to make a red box. So I take some cadmium light red, and the complement or the opposite to that color is like a turquoise. Whenever you want to check the color, add a little white to it, and that'll bring it up so you can see what color it is if the colors are too dark. And I try to mix it until I get roughly the same value. The cool color can be slightly darker. And then what I do is I mix these two together, like that. Because you never want to use the color straight out of the tube because if you're completely already exhausted as far as you can go, you have no place to move to. And you can see that makes a gray. If the complement is a perfect complement, you'll be able to mix gray. So let's say this is the red side. I'm going to make that a little bit more. And lighten it up so I can see what's going on there. And we're just going to work with red today. So I make two reds. Two dark reds. To darken this red up, I'm going to use a little bit of burnt sienna, so it'll darken up a little. Like that. And to make a color warmer, it has more yellow in it. The warmest color is orange, and the coolest color is blue. So white and gray work like a blue color. So if I want to make this color, for example, cooler, I add a little white to it. It's a little bit too cool, so I'm going to put a little red in that too. So I've made up two reds. One is warmer and one's a little cooler. And I made them a little bit darker than comes out of the tube. You don't want to use a color that's coming right out of a tube, because then you have no place to go, like we talked about. Now you want two dark ones, one warm and one cool dark, and now we're going to make two light ones. And to make this, more paint. Use lots of paint to really get it on there. Now to make a color cooler, just add a little white to it, and that cools it off. Like that. You have to mess with it a lot. Just keep playing around till you get the right, what you're looking for. And to make the warm color a little bit warmer, I add a touch of yellow to it. That warms that up and cools that one. So I got two darks. One of the darks is warm, one of the darks is cool, and then I have two lights. One of the lights is warm, the other one is cool. You have to have two of each of those. Now you can either use a palette knife or a brush. Let's say I'm using a brush. And the light's coming from this direction, so the top is going to be the lightest. So just paint that in. I'm going to exaggerate the color so you can see how the color works. So you have two lights on the top, and then one on the side. That's why you need two of each. Like that, just get that in there. And now for the darker side, the side of the darker side is not as dark as the cast shadow. Really get it on there. Like that. So that's the shadow side. And then the cast shadow has to be darker than this. The cast shadow is always darker. Now you can see that doesn't look as dark enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little burnt sienna with it and see if that's darker. Not quite dark enough. So I can darken this more by adding a little, add a touch of purple to it. Just a touch, so it's darker. So the cast shadow, this is the cast shadow, that's always darker than the shadow side. So we have two lights and two darks. Now if you want to make the top, let's say you went as far as you could go with this color and you can't get any lighter. Then to make it lighter, or feel like it's lighter, what you can do is make the background around it dark. So I'm going to use the complementary color for the background, so we really exaggerate this. And that's a turquoise blue. I know this is the complement because if I mix these two together, I'll get gray. So now I'm going to use a palette knife. I'm going to get a bunch on my my palette knife, and just move it away. See how much darker this looks a lot lighter because that's dark. You're always comparing the background to the object. If you want to make it so it doesn't pop out as much, make something lighter, and then it won't look so light. Just really squish it on there. Now, when it comes down on the side, this moves to a little bit of a green, so it kind of warms up a little. And so I'm using a sap green and really get into my palette knife and stick the green on there. If you want something to look lighter, you make the background dark. If you want something to look brighter, like if I want this red to look brighter, I make the background around it cooler. And as things go away from you, like this is closer to you than this side of the block, you dull it down a little bit, and that gives the feeling that this side is going back more. I think I'll use my brush here. And let's say the ground plane is right about like that. And you don't gradate yet, you make it in shapes. Now to go around the bottom, let's say it's more of a grayish. Maybe a little bit more blue on it. So I'm always thinking of what's behind the object, what's the color next to it. Because that can lighten it or darken it or brighten it or dull it. So now that we have it roughed in like that, what I want to do is make this closer to us. So this right here would be a little darker, this would be a little lighter. So right at this corner, we're going to make it a little darker with cadmium red light, burnt sienna, and a touch of purple, and make that a little bit darker. Right where that edge is. Then I'm going to make the top right here a little lighter. Put a little lighter right there. A little brighter right here. So now we'll go back with our palette knife or brush. The brush has to be clean, and soften these edges like this. Have this come into there, just on the edge, and bring it around a little bit. Same thing on this side. Same thing going down. Do a bunch of boxes going in all directions. You're asking yourself, do I see the top of the box, or do I see the bottom of the box, or to the right or to the left, and which way the sun is coming? Now what I'm going to do is soften this edge get my palette knife or brush really clean and just go like that. This can be a little bit lighter there. Whoops. See, that's softening it so it looks like it's fading into the background. Do the same thing up here. Kind of add your turquoise and your red together. And when you're painting, you're always fixing the drawing. Let's try it with the brush. Just kind of feather it. That's working better. Just kind of feather the edges in. So the lines away from you are softer and they go into the background. And you'll notice that if I make the stroke go this way, it's darker. And if I make the stroke go this way, it's a little lighter. So you kind of watch what's going to happen and then adjust accordingly. Like that. So now, okay, we have our basic box here. So if the light's coming from this direction, you make this side warmer by adding a little yellow. It's a little bit yellow. Oh, my brush is dirty. And the other side, I'm going to make it cooler. This has to be a little darker. See, keep messing with it until you get the degree that you like it. So there we have a box. Now let's say we want the box to go back. If you want the box to go back, we start off with these same colors, but what we're going to do, if we mix the complements together, we'll get a neutral gray. Let me see if I can find that. You see, if I mix red and turquoise together, I'll get a neutral gray. So that one's darker, and the light side, it'll be a little bit less, so it'll be a little bit lighter. But I'm getting this and this by mixing the true complements to get gray. So now what I do, if I want the box to go back, let's draw another box so we'll draw another little box just by using, sometimes you can just use turpentine and just barely put color in your thing. Now, let's make a box so you're looking up at it. So if I'm looking up at a box, I see the bottom of the box. And the thing of it is, when you're drawing, if it's not what you like, you can correct it right away and just take it off, like that. Now we're going to add that gray, and what I'm using to speed things up, and a good way to start, is I'm using Payne's gray. It's a real dark gray. It looks like black, but it's really a real dark gray. And then I use white to bring it to roughly the same value as these different, like this is the lightest, that's a little bit darker, and the darkest there. So I try to match it pretty close. And let's say, in this case, we only have 3 sides. So I'm going to have this one be the lightest, and this one be the next. So this right here, I'll take the lightest color, mix it with a little gray, so it's less, so it's duller, and paint that in. And then I take the next one, add a little gray to that, so it's a little darker. If it's too bright, dull it down with a little bit of Payne's gray or the complement of the color. And the bottom, since the light is coming from the top here, needs to be the darker color. But once again, I have to add a little bit of gray to it so it looks like it's going back. So basically I'm graying down the colors. Now, as things go back, they get grayer or they get more like the background. And let's say the background is gray, which is kind of a bluish. Notice the way I'm not holding my brush like this, I'm holding it like this. Push it down and pull it. Flip it over for some more paint. And do the sides. The side. And as the box goes back, it foreshortens slightly. It's a little narrower here than it is there, like that. But once again, it's all about the color of the object and the background. Makes it, See, this looks duller because the background is not as dark as that. So, to make a side lighter, a warmer, you add a little yellow to it. To make the side cooler, you add a little white to it. To make the box go back, you add gray to all those, the same colors, and that gives you the illusion that it's going back. I've got one more thing I want to show you here. Here are, I went through all my colors. And here are the colors with the complement. And I find that cadmium red light and turquoise makes a close to a gray. And then the burnt sienna to ultramarine blue makes kind of a gray. And then an orange with a French ultramarine blue gives you a gray, close to a gray. And when I got to purple, I tried mixing yellow and purple together. I could never get gray with that. Purple and gray, purple and yellow together makes kind of a yellow ochre. So green and purple will make gray. And then I did a warm green and a purple and make gray. So those are ones that I know work. The other thing I want to show you is, here are my colors, and what I did was, I just take Payne's Gray, and I try to duplicate the value. So that value is the same, but the color is different as it goes along. So you have three things. You got value, and you got if it's warm or cool, and you have if it's grayer or brighter, lighter, more intense or less intense. Here's one that I did so you can see the difference. This thing is soaking wet, so I'm just gonna take this off here. So you want to do a bunch of boxes going in all directions. That you can think of. So I started off with this box, and it all comes down to the horizon line. If the horizon line is here, and you're looking down at it, you're going to see the top. If the horizon line is low, then you're going to see the bottom. And there we go. Okay, I hope you have a successful learning curve on color. Be patient with yourself because it takes a while. All right, I'll see you next time. Thanks for coming.